In capital news tonight, heavy rains destroy Kitumba Mirumba Bridge along the Kibaoni-Kizi Sumbawanga Road. Benjamin Mkapa Hospital starts second phase of kidney transplant operations. And in sports, TFF organizes a License B training for coaches. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Khadija Zimbwe. First, the national news. The Kitumba Mirumba Bridge along the Kibaoni-Kizi Sumbawanga Road has been demolished by ongoing rains in Mpimbwe District Council, Katavi Region, and Nkasi and Sumbawanga districts in Rukwa Region. Katavi Region Commissioner Juma Homera has said a temporary bridge will be installed to restore communication.
Kwa sasa sisi wananchi wa bonde hili la Mpimbwe hii barabara tunategemea sana kwa.
We rely so much on this road as it connects us to other regions. All activities are at a standstill. Even borders are passing here with a lot of difficulty. There are no vehicles coming from either side. A little water flowed down from the hills after the heavy rain, which caused a lot of damage.
Anayetoka Mpimbwe kwenda Nkasi, kwenda Sumbawanga, kwenda Mbeya.
Travelers can't pass here. They are forced to use alternative routes. So you can see how important this bridge is.
Kwa hii ni daraja la muhimu sana na serikali inatambua hilo.
Benjamin Mkapa Hospital in Dodoma has started the second phase of kidney transplants on 7 patients being carried out by local specialists. The doctor of Benjamin Mkapa Hospital, Dr. Alphonse Chandika, has said all the patients who had kidney transplants last year have recovered.
Kwa hiyo kwa ujumla kuna timu ya zaidi ya wataalamu 12.
There is a team of at least 12 doctors who have received training. We are ready to treat our patients. There are usually 2 rooms, one for the donor and the other one for the recipient. So they go hand in hand. When the donor is being operated on to remove the kidney, the recipient gets prepared for the transplant. Many had given up hope that I would recover, but when the transplant operation started, I've seen God working in me.
The Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Philip Mpango, has received more than 500 billion shillings as dividend from 13 institutions, organizations and companies. Speaking in Dodoma after receiving the dividend, Minister Dr. Mpango directed directors and chairpersons of institutions which have not done so to pay their dividends by January 23rd, as failure to do so will result in their dismissal.
There is a lot of work to be done still to develop our country. If we apply for a loan, the interest rates keeps increasing and some come with unfavorable conditions. So our own money is a big help. Once we mix it with tax revenue, we can make progress.
Tukichanganya humo na kwenye makusanyo ya kodi tunasogea.
With less than 2 weeks remaining until the National Identification Registration exercise ends, hundreds of residents of Temeke Municipal have continued to turn up to be registered for the first time and others to verify their details. Some residents have said that many people did not see the importance of getting a national IDs when the exercise started in 2011.
Tumekaa zaidi ya wiki moja kwenye kata zote za wilaya Temeke. Nimekaa.
We've been here for more than 1 week in all wards in Temeke before this exercise commenced. If the turn-up was good from then we would not be facing these challenges. Most people wait for the last minute before they come. at once. What we are doing now is to assist each individual according to his needs. We came as early as 4 a.m. We don't know what is going on. We are waiting to go to the immigration desk to get our national ID numbers. We have to queue to get ID cards. We came early, but NIDA is at fault here because they ran out of time and had to close the office.
The road connecting Mbeya and Tabora regions, which has been closed for 2 weeks following destruction of a bridge on River Lupa, has been reopened after completion of repair work on the bridge.
As of today, vehicles weighing less than 10 tons will be allowed to use this bridge, and those weighing more are advised to use the side road. The bridge is strong for vehicles weighing less than 10 tons. However, they are allowed to use it when there is an emergency, but it is not recommended. We are grateful for our district commissioner's efforts because we could not do much.
The mayor of Dar es Salaam, Isaiah Mwita, has lodged an injunction application at Kisutu Resident Magistrate Court to stop the process to remove him from his position. The applicant's advocate, Hakima Mwasipo, told the court that his client wants the process to remove him as mayor started by the Councillors' Council and Dar es Salaam Region Commissioner stopped. The respondent's advocate, Gabriel Malata, has urged the court to dismiss the request as the applicant does not have proof on the allegations. Now, Kisutu Resident Magistrate Court will announce its decision on the issue on 9th of January this year. Tanzania People's Defense Force from Ngerengere camp in Morogoro region has removed the temporary bridge it had installed in Handeni district following completed rehabilitation of the bridge constructed by German colonialists had been destroyed by floods.
We commend Tanga management for the duration it took us to put up the bridge, which is temporary, of which we are removing today. We commend TANROAD, Tanga, for constructing the permanent bridge quickly, as well as the local residents who took care of security. We've been able to construct the bridge, which is complete, except for a few items. It is ready for use. We are thankful to the Army and our President because these officers were enabled by the President. We commend them because now life can resume as it should.
Kuambia wananchi kwamba miundombinu inatakiwa kulindwa na sisi wenyewe kwa sababu sisi wenyewe ndio watumiaji wakuu.
And that is the end of national news. International news follows shortly after this short break. And in international news, the government of Kenya is completing a locust spraying operation in Wajir, Garissa and Marsabit counties following an invasion of the pests from Ethiopia and Somalia, which has caused massive destruction of more than 100,000 acres of crops. We have a very big number of locusts to destroy who are in South Wajir, but unfortunately we don't know which area has been highly affected because the area is impassable. We are also monitoring that the flies do not spread to other neighboring counties like Mandera. Preliminary information says that the locusts have been divided into 5 groups.
It is safe.
The chemicals used to kill locusts are safe and not harmful to environment, human and animals. The chemicals were certified and registered by the Board of Combating Insects and Flies. Now, fighting has continued in the forest of Beni in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The attacks are reported to be carried out between government forces and invaders from neighboring countries.
Les gens disaient que c'est l'armée, les militaires FARDC qui tuaient les gens. Aujourd'hui,
people used to say FARDC are the ones responsible in killing people. Today, they have confirmed that in the forest there are rebels who are intending to grab land in Congo. We must all put efforts together in combating the invaders who are intending to divide the country. All political parties' leaders should begin involving leaders of the Great Lake regions, Africa Union and United Nations for all to bring solution of retaining peace in Eastern Congo. The military court in Uganda has freed 7 Rwandan nationals a year after they were arrested in Kampala following allegations of illegal possession of firearms. The 7 have been handed over to the Rwandan embassy in Uganda. The assassination of Revolutionary Guards elite Quds Force in the region on 3rd January was a major escalation in already deteriorating relations between Iran and the U.S. To discuss the tension between Iran, Iraq and the U.S., we have our correspondent from Deutsche Welle, Thomas Sparrow. Thomas, the tension in Middle East has continued to escalate, where today Iran has reacted with a missile attack on 2 U.S. bases in Iraq. Now, what is Germany's response to these latest developments?
Not only Germany's response, but Europe's response can be summarized in one word, and that word is restraint, in trying to ask the countries involved to de-escalate tensions, to make anything possible and take measures that could de-escalate the situation, that could stop a spiral of violence, that could stop these tensions from becoming more and more dangerous, bigger and bigger. That is what the European Union has been trying to do, the way in which they've been trying to do this, and this is, by the way, nothing new. This is something that the EU usually tends to do in these cases, is to try and see where they can find channels of communication, where they can open dialogue between the parts involved. So one concrete example that I can give you is the fact that there will be a meeting, a key meeting in Brussels, where European Union foreign ministers will be discussing what way forward they can find. Another concrete example is Angela Merkel traveling on Saturday to Russia to have talks there with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and as you know, Russia has a very important role to play in the Middle East, a much bigger role than, for example, Germany. So as such, Germany sees that particular talk between the two leaders as being very important, and Germany is in a good position to do so, because when you look at the leaders of both countries, when you look at, for example, Angela Merkel and Vladimir Putin, they've been in power for a very long time. Putin speaks German, he knows Germany well. Angela Merkel speaks Russian, so they speak each other's languages and they can communicate very easily. So whenever there is a problem where Russia can play a role, Germany tends to see its role as being one where it can mediate in one way or another, although it's important to stress that there are differences between Germany and Russia, between the EU and Russia. But this is the way the European Union, not only Germany, has been dealing with, trying to see if there are ways where this conflict can in any way de-escalate, how those involved can in any way stop what could become a spiral of violence.
Now, due to the current situation in Iraq, Germany has decided to pull out some of its troops. Has this move received support from other EU member countries?
This is important because one thing is what you do when you talk, when you say we want these countries to stop violence, we want these countries to make anything possible to avoid escalation. Another thing is what you do, so what measures exactly a country takes to try and, for example, protect its troops. And when you talk about this, Germany has decided, as you said, to move a small part of its contingent in Iraq to neighboring countries like Kuwait or Jordan. Germany doesn't have a very big military presence in Iraq, but it is a presence that if we see it from a German perspective, is particularly important. Germany is not a country that is very prone to sending soldiers abroad, so every case when you discuss this is particularly controversial here. The reason why the ministers of foreign affairs and of defense in Germany decided to move these troops to the neighboring countries, to Kuwait and Jordan, as I said, is because of security concerns, because they want to protect the soldiers, but also because there's political uncertainty, in particular regarding the role of foreign troops in Iraq, as you well know, and that is something that Germany is particularly interested in clearing and finding answers to. And that's why Germany also announced simultaneously that it would send a high-ranking team to Baghdad to try and see what is the future of this, because let's not forget that there's an important topic there as well. If the stability of Iraq is threatened, if the situation in the Middle East becomes more dangerous and less clear, that could play into the hands of groups like the so-called Islamic State. And as you know, the groups like the so-called Islamic State are a security threat to Europe as well. So that's why Germany and other countries, other European countries, are particularly interested in trying to find out what this all means for the region and how any security risks can be prevented that could ultimately have an impact here in Germany and in Europe.
Now, on top of all this, Iran has said it will not abide to the 2015 nuclear deal. How is Germany and the EU dealing with Iran's decision, as well as US's threats to impose sanctions on Iraq after it voted in Parliament to host US troops in Iraq?
If we talk in particular about the JCPOA, so the Iran nuclear deal, we have to understand that all countries except the United States have reiterated on various occasions that they would like to stick to the Iran nuclear deal as much as possible. So when you see moves by Iran to try and distance itself from the nuclear deal, take steps back from that nuclear deal, that is something that is particularly worrisome here in Europe, here in Germany as well. Germany is one of the co-signatories of the Iran nuclear deal, and it would like that Iran nuclear deal as much as possible to be kept. So that is also why Germany is particularly interested in having talks with the Iranian leadership to see to what extent that can be saved. But again, we're talking here about a conflict in the region that has many different levels. So one level is the Iran nuclear deal. Another level, another aspect of it is a situation in Iraq, which we already discussed. Then you have the situation that we already mentioned as well of the so-called Islamic State. So all these different levels and the different players that have a very important role in the region, they in some way now have to try and find a way out so that this doesn't turn into a bigger conflict than it already is. And that's the reason again why, for example, Chancellor Merkel has decided to have those talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, considering that Russia plays a very important role in the region when it comes to some of the countries involved.
Thank you so much, Spire. We'll be actually looking forward to how far the tension will go and how far other nations in the world will be participating in making sure that the tensions are going to be ceased and the rest of the world remain in peace. And that is the end of international news. Business news follows shortly.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production, infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
And in business news, the Ways and Measures Agency has called on entrepreneurs in Mwanza selling petroleum products to ensure they adhere to laws and regulations in order to avoid stern measures being taken against them. We assure the public that measurements are not tampered with. Stern measures will be taken against any person that will go against the directive. We all must make sure that our pumps are in good condition. Tanzania Civil Aviation Authority TCAA has said that the new radars being installed in various parts of the country will increase revenue collection as all planes flying in Tanzania's skies will be traced and tracked and charged fees according to aviation transport laws. Every plane that will pass by will be sensed by the radar, where clients will be charged. This will not just apply to recognized planes, but even planes that pass by and land in forests. Drones and planes that are controlled by pilots are all passing in our space. It used to be difficult to communicate to pilots to give them any kind of information. And more than 200 farmers and livestock keepers who are shareholders at Njombe Dairy Factory have urged the government to take action against leaders of the factory they alleged to have embezzled more than 800 million shillings. There were accountants and economists who were taking advantage of farmers because we're laymen. After all that they have done, it will be wise for them to hand over the money to Regional Commissioner in the morning. There shall be no case. If they will fail to do so, we will have no choice but consider them otherwise. And that is the end of business news. Sports news follows shortly after this commercial break.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Position, Joaquinho, he did lose to Lent.
And in sports news tonight, Simon Msuva's father says he has not seen his son's contract after reports that the Taifa Stars winger has left Defile Jidad and is now a Benfica player who has been loaned to the Greek club Panathinaikos.
We spoke to him yesterday and he told us to wait. The things are not set well. When everything is well and he's sure of where he's going, he will tell us, because we like to talk to him directly instead of listening to other reports. Rumors and reports are there, but we also like to talk to him directly for information.
The Football Federation has organized a License B training for coaches in Tanzania. However, the challenge has been attracting female soccer coaches.
Tuna develop na mwisho wa siku
Tuseme kuna maendeleo ya
We want to develop them because at the end of the day there is development of soccer. But knowing that, as we said earlier, the girls' league starts now of the under-15s and all coaches of the participating teams will be female coaches.
Okay. Na kwa kufanya hivyo tunaamini kabisa itakuwa ni sehemu nzuri.
Kevin De Bruyne has revealed it took all of 15 minutes in training for Pep Guardiola to plan Manchester City's 3-1 mulling of their neighbours Manchester United in the first leg of their Carabao Cup semi-finals.
Were beaten by United in the Premier League last month, but on Tuesday evening at Old Trafford, Guardiola made an attitude tactical change. With centre-forward Sergio Aguero and Gabriel Jesus on the bench, he played with a false 9 in the front line of 2 number 10s. The Belgian revealed that City trained in the morning of the match but spent little time on technical drills. "We did 15 minutes this morning, that's about it," he said, adding, "It's not like we never did it before, so we did already sometimes against teams who prefer to play man against man. Cardiff United, I think Barcelona, the way we did it the first year, so we've done it a couple of times." City, winners of the competition for the past 2 seasons, swept into a commanding lead with 3 goals inside the opening 38 minutes at Old Trafford. Marcus Rashford kept United's hopes alive by pulling one back 20 minutes from time as City eased off in the second half.
And Crystal Palace have rejected an attempt by Bayern Munich to sign Wilfried Zaha on loan until the end of the season, with the Premier League club determined not to allow their prized asset to leave for less than £80 million. Here more details.
The German champions held talks this week with the Ivory Coast forward's new agent, Pini Zahavi, who is attempting to secure Zaha's departure from Selhurst Park after proposed moves to Arsenal and Everton failed to materialize in the summer. Bayern, who will face Chelsea in the Champions League last 16, offered to take the 27-year-old on loan with a view to sign him permanently in the summer, although it is understood that proposal was immediately dismissed. Bayern is still hopeful of signing Leroy Sané from Manchester City at the end of the season, having failed last summer, but could return to Zaha even successful. Palace have reluctantly accepted that Zaha can leave if a club matches his valuation, yet, with Chelsea's interest reported to have cooled, it remains to be seen whether he will move this month.
And that's Sports Item ends our news bulletin for tonight. My name is Khadija Zimbo. Thank you for watching and good night.